Welcome to Live, Let, Thrive, a podcast about the Airbnb life, the share economy, and everything in between. Here are your hosts, Micah and Steve.
Hello, hello, hello.
And welcome back to another exciting episode.
Oh, Live,
Let
Thrive. What is up, Micah? Man.
I am good, under the weather, but I'm pushing through.
Yeah, I thought my headphones were messed up earlier. You're like, yeah, I'm ready to go. I'm like, whoa, is this my headphones? What's going on here?
Yeah.
But yes, thank you for tuning in to this episode 241 of your favorite Airbnb, VRBO, Uber, Lyft, short-term, mid-term, long-term economy, and share economy podcast in the world, coming at you from Fort Worth and Arlington, Texas, Micah.
Let's go, man. What we got going on this beautiful Friday?
Oh man, we're gonna talk about some water, some fun in the water, bro. I think that's what we're gonna talk about. I got a new mic. Before we jump into that, I got a new well, I've got my microphone set up and I got a pretty fancy camera, the one that you said to get. So I might have to, it's like HD, so I might have to start wearing some makeup now. I don't know. Anyways, it looks pretty cool. I can see things better. It's better than the cheap ass camera they put on these MacBook Airs, whatever. So ready to roll, baby. We have a special guest today.
Who we got?
Indeed. Eric Pearce. Second time on the show, man. Back in the day, he was doing some short-term rental fun stuff. And he was pimping rollies and exotic cars and stuff like that. And so now he's doing some other things. He's doing some like Airbnb your boat. It's called Expert Marketer. He's an expert marketer and founder of 30A Boat Valet, a boat charter with a unique twist. Welcome to the show, Eric.
Thanks, guys. What's going on?
Oh, just having fun on this Friday, baby. Ready to talk some share economy stuff, baby. What's the twist on this boat valet you got going on?
Well, it started as what you call launch and pickup service, where boat owners and rental companies would call me and have me put the boat in the water, and when people are done, load it back up and put it back in storage. And one thing led to another, and basically started a charter business after living here in this area, which is on the Gulf Coast of Florida. Watching the area grow for the last 20 years. Everybody wants to be on the water here. That's the whole point of being here, is being by the beach or being on the water in some form or fashion. So basically, I worked with some rental companies, worked with owners and so on, and got to hear kind of the inside scoop of what the customers wanted. And basically 30A Boat Valet morphed into this luxury charter where we get pontoons, which are actually tritoons in this case. So there's 3 floats on them. It's a little bit more of a luxury setup, plush seating and good stereo systems and, faster boats, more powerful, things like that. Basically, instead of a customer going to a marina to get on a boat, when they book with us, we actually come to them. So we have like pickup locations and stuff like that. We'll pick up at private docks if people are staying at a house that has a dock on it. And basically, what we do is we valet the people. So 30A Boat Valet turned into a person valet. So we it's almost like an Uber on the water, except that it's higher end. And it's not driving all over the place, but we can. We've done some pretty cool stuff with it, and so that grew into a luxury, basically the premier luxury pontoon charter in the area. And the funny thing is, when somebody hears luxury pontoon, they have this image in their mind of from 20 years ago of this beat up granddad's pontoon that has a 50 horsepower motor on it, or if that. Yeah. And the boat will do 5 miles an hour, puts along, and it's got astroturf on the deck, and umbrellas on it and all this other stuff. But we've kind of redefined that by getting these higher end tritoons or pontoons, if you will. They're around $75,000, new. And they're powerful too. They're fast. They're somewhat economical at the same time. They have some luxuries to them. And so anyway, we started taking customers out on that. And now what's happened is I've e-commerceized the business quite a bit. So it's become, rather than this old fashioned, get on the phone, call up the marina, see if there's a boat available. You go to the marina, you get the instruction, you get on the boat, you drive it yourself. But everything very old fashioned. There's a booking system. Everything's on paper and a clipboard, and all that stuff. What they do with my site is they see the ad or whatever it is they find. They go straight into the website. They book their captain from there. They book the boat or the cruise rather online. And basically what happens is they show up to a pickup location and the boat's there with the captain and everything on it. Captain helps them load up their stuff and then they're off. So it's become very e-commerceized. It's kind of a cool thing, a cool spin on it, because there's still people, still companies doing this in the old fashioned kind of sense. But anyway, it's a lot of fun. Going out on the water. I love the water anyway. And it was just it was no brainer. And we're season 2 now on the water. And it's fun, having a blast with it.
So many things to jump into. And one thing that stands out is because there was this other podcast I used to listen to called, I think it was called Dirty Jobs or something like that. And so he made a great point. And when you started talking about all the other boat, rental places, whatever, where just they still have a clipboard and you call a number and you say, let me check and see if it's available and kind of thing. You go over there and you sign your name on some stuff and you get your boat. And his show, he would talk about there's so many jobs out there that if you just put a little effort in, you got it on the internet, you could rank number 1 like in a week, because they don't do any anything on Google, Google ads or Facebook ads or whatever. They don't promote themselves. They don't even have a good website, and they're not automated. You can't do anything with their website. And he goes, You could pretty much take over any industry, any job. He started naming like, plumbing jobs or roofing or mowing yards or whatever. If you just put a little effort into it, you could like be the go-to in that area. You know what I'm saying? And so that reminded me of what you did right away. You put a little bit of internet onto it, and then it really took off. So that being said, I do remember I go to Padre a lot. I love Padre, but I was like, man, you can rent your own boat. I mean, that's a thing. Do I need a license to drive the damn thing, or how did it work back in the day?
Basically, they take your driver's license, you'd sign a 1-page waiver, a liability release. You'd go through a crash course, driver's thing, which is basically you just answer some questions on a piece of paper. And it's like, and the people that, that run the operation are there telling you what the answers are. And then they take you to the boat and you get on the boat and they see you off. And
that doesn't sound too safe, man.
Well, it's not, partly because if you've never driven a boat before, because a lot of people think, hey, I want to go drive this car. So they go rent one to drive it rather than buy it. They want to get the experience. Well, same thing with boats. In fact, my first real, I guess you could say, real boat ride where I drove a boat was a pontoon. It was up in Atlanta. And this was in 2018 or 19. I think it was 2019. So 4 years ago. It might have been 18. I don't remember now. Anyway, that's exactly what it was. I was trying to find, place to rent a boat, because I just got this idea one night, like, hey, why don't we, this is a lake. Why don't we rent a boat, go on a boat for a little while? My wife was like, yeah, let's do that. Okay. So I went and, Googled some, boat rental boat rental near me or whatever. And place came up. It was $195 for 2 hours, and took a little bit to find the place. We got lost twice trying to find the place, and we get there, and that's exactly what they did. I walked up, and it's this kind of hut looking thing, like just wood structure. You walk in there, there's a desk, and real small place. There's 3 kids working there. They hand me a couple papers to sign. I had no idea what I was signing. And they're like, just sign this liability release, and here's the course. Just answer A, B, D, G, blah, 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 blah. That's the answers. And then you're good. You're fine. Whatever. You drive a car, right? I'm like, yeah. They're like, okay, well, you'll be fine. so they literally walk me. I'm like, okay. And they walk us out to the boat, and I had no idea what I was looking at, because I did back then. I did not know boats. I had no clue. So I just saw a motor and and seats. We get on there, and I'm like, okay, I've never driven one of these before. This is my first time. Is there anything I should do? Nah, this is your throttle. Forward is push the throttle forward. You go forward, pull it back, and it backs you up. Steering wheel, you're fine. I'm like, okay. He's like, you don't need to mess with it. It's simple. So we get in there, and we kind of we drove around Lanier Island, which is where we were staying, and we went out there for 2 hours. It was freezing cold and windy and choppy. I had a blast though, and the funny part is we're sitting there, and we just stopped for a minute just to kind of enjoy floating. And I told my wife, I said, I don't know why I'm saying this, but I'm going to say it. It's a thought I have right now. I was like, somehow, some way, I'm going to find an opportunity to work with boats, and it's going to become how I make a living, and it's going to become how I produce. Like, I don't know when, how, or where this is going to happen, but when the opportunity comes up, I'm going to take it. Mm. And she goes, okay, sounds good. And I'm like, cool, done. And then we just kept going. Yeah. Well, I'll just make a long story short. A year later, an opportunity pops up. A friend of mine calls me up and says, hey, can I get some help with something I got going on, gig I got going on? I'm like, yeah, sure. What's up? He's like, I'm towing some boats. Got to do what's called a launch and pickup. I'm like, what? Okay. What is that? He goes, you're going to hook up to a trailer with a boat on it. You're going to pull it over to the ramp. You're going to put the boat in the water on the trailer. You're going to pull the boat off the trailer and put it on the dock and tie it off. And then it's some renters that are going out. When they come back, you'll load the boat back up on the trailer, and you'll take it back to where it's stored. I'm like, okay, sounds simple enough. Well, this ended up turning into about year and a half, 2-year deal. I became a contractor, and I was doing, like anywhere from 3 to 5 boats a day, which was taking me 6 a.m. till sometimes 10 or 11 p.m.
Damn.
With all the work that was going into it. And it started growing and did well. And then next thing I know, I went and buy my own boat and started my own charter. And even the way that happened was a funny story. I'm one of those guys that I'm not going to wait until I go get something and then make something happen from it. I'm going to go. It's kind of like a proper sales system. If you ever listen to Grant Cardone, he talks about proper sales system. You sell it, the product, before you have the product. So you create the demand, get the revenue, then you go create the product and deliver it. Because if it doesn't sell, then you're stuck with it, right? So what I did was I narrowed down over the period of, I don't know, probably 3-4 months of just research, or just hardcore research. and getting to know, because at this point I had run probably 750 boats or something like that. Got a lot of experience. Like I knew what I was doing. I understood boats. I knew all that stuff. Learned personalities of boats, because boats have their own personalities depending on how they're built and all that different stuff. It's kind of weird to say that, but if you got into boating, we'd be like, okay, that makes sense. They all have their own quirks to them. Each one, even if they're all the same boat, not one boat is the same in personality. It's the craziest thing to experience, but the more you run, the more you figure out. Even though these two boats are identical, this one does this and this one does this. It's weird. Never seen anything else like that before. Only boats. And so anyway, did a bunch of research, narrowed down the boat, blah, 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 blah. It took me a month to put a deal together. I use Facebook groups a lot. I've become Facebook group like fanatic. I just know how to use them really well and leverage them. In fact, I used the first 6 months of my charter. I used Facebook groups to make what did I produce? About $150,000 in revenue.
Holy shit!
Just purely from boat charters, just Facebook groups alone. Just understanding how they work, understanding how to speak to the audience, how to get attention, doing things that others aren't doing. It just became a sweet spot for me. So I used Facebook groups, purely Facebook groups, to build, to start the business. And then just from there, produce the income to then go into paid advertising, Google, Facebook, quick. Instagram. Yeah.
What kind of Facebook groups are these people that are just like boat lovers, or what kind of Facebook groups are these?
Not boat lovers, because that's not the audience.
Oh, okay.
The audience that you're talking to are, if you're in a tourist town, like I'm in a tourist town here, we get almost 30 million visitors a year in our area, 50-mile radius.
Wow.
What area?
So,
what area is this?
Santa Rosa Beach, Florida.
Okay. Wow.
If you look at Santa Rosa Beach, you could type in 30A Florida, like 30A Florida, Destin, Florida, Miramar Beach, Florida. Not Miramar, because there's a Miramar, Florida as well. That's down south, but Miramar Beach, Florida. Panama City Beach, Florida. That's kind of your 50-mile radius right there. And it's growing massively. Our population has increased. Well, when I first moved here 30 years ago, we had 12,000 person population. We're now pushing 100,000 just in Walton County alone. And you got Okaloosa, Walton, and Bay County, those three counties. So we're growing hugely. Like the development that's happening here is insane. It's almost like we have our own economy here. So whatever happens around the country, we're kind of in our own bubble. And the boat market is just, soaring here, which is what, I kind of got in during COVID, and that's when the business really exploded. Mm-hmm. Everybody wanted to get on the water. They didn't want to stay in the house. They couldn't go do anything else. They're like, okay, let's go on a boat. So it was mind blowing to see how big and fast that grew. And so going back to the Facebook groups, these are local groups where people are trying to find things to do, places to stay, places to eat, stuff like that. So if you're in every city has them, especially more populated cities or cities where there are things to do. You can search for, that local group, like in our area, they'll search, like Destin, Florida, for example, just to be very general. You'll search Destin, Florida in the groups section, and you'll see like Destin and the Emerald Coast, Destin, Florida, Miramar Beach, Florida. We love Miramar Beach, all these different groups, right? Well, when you go into those groups, it's mostly tourists that go in there because they want to go in and talk to the locals and find out what they have to offer. And so what I was doing is I was finding, I got into about 55 local Facebook groups, and I was going in there on a daily basis. And I was posting so much that the admins were contacting me, asking me if I was purposely spamming their group. And I'm like, I'm not spamming your group. I am just trying to get attention, and I would like for this to be mutually beneficial. If you'll let me post and promote my group, you just let me know whenever you want to go out on the water, and I'll take care of you.
Ooh, nice.
And they all, every single one of them, oh, okay. Like the whole tone changes, right? Well, what ended up happening is I got into about 10 of the most influential Facebook groups in the area, and I was able to go in and do this. So it was it was a trade. It's a barter. Something, give them something of value, and they'll give you something of value, right?
So you're saying there's some power to this networking thing?
Nah, not really.
Because most of us just stay on our computers and whatever. We don't know.
Exactly. It's like if you're gonna be on social media, do something with it.
Be social.
Be social. That's the whole point. It's like so many people don't understand. Like, if you want to, build a network, if you want to build a business, it's right there and it's free for the most part. And I basically didn't have any advertising costs for the first several months of starting this business, because I was just using Facebook groups. That's what I knew. I didn't know how to use Google. I didn't know how to use all that stuff, just Facebook groups. And then from there, people started trying to find me. So fortunately, I'd started my other profiles, which were 38 at 38 Boat Valet. So what I would do is I would go in and post. I would put my profile call sign, and then what I was doing is using Venmo and Cash App, my social profiles, and Google Calendar. That's how the business started. And then it was all me. And then there were captains I was working with, because again, it was captain. And then from there, it just got to the point where it started getting so busy. I'm like, okay, I've got to start putting some systems in place, which I knew was going to happen at some point. I just didn't realize how quickly it was going to happen. And started running some promotions and then all this other stuff. And it just exploded. I'm like, wow, I need another boat. So from there, I went from one boat to, this was last year, went from one boat to 8 boats in the matter of months. And what happened was I had some partnerships, and I wouldn't do it the way I did it again, because I didn't really know what to do. It was just saying yes and doing it. Just say yes to the opportunity. Well, I mean, that was last year was the first full year of doing this. And we did $500,000 in revenue. Mm-hmm. And the problem is my advertising costs started to shoot through the roof, because Google started working really good. And Google started working really good, like really good. And I decided a couple months in a row, I was like, well, let's double down, because this is not going to last. So let's do it while it lasts. And then, the month that usually starts declining, I'll just cut the budget in half or in a quarter, and then let it run from there. And then gear up again, in the wintertime. So what ended up happening was I spent a ton of money in advertising, mainly in Google. And then we had bad weather hit. The third month going into this, bad weather hit. Had $75,000 on the books going into August. This was in July, which was about 20 grand ahead of July. Started, June going into July going into August, right? August hits August 1st. Bad weather. Just rained out. And this ended up going on for the entire month.
Damn.
all but maybe a week's worth of days. And then it was just a decline from there. And it was just all trying to save it and stuff. But the wild part was that, the ride up there. So this year things are, starting a little bit differently. I'm 3 boats, and I own, I'll have, 2 of them will be company owned. 1 is through a partner. So this year is kind of simplifying. It's that first 3 years of business where you're figuring out what works and what doesn't. Mm-hmm. So it's like you figure out what doesn't work first, and then you find what does work. So that's what I've been doing, but this concept still remains.
Now, is there any way to arbitrage boats to do what you're doing?
There is, and that's kind of phase 2. So my whole thing, what I'm doing here, just to give you a general picture, is building a sellable brand. I trademarked the brand in the business model. And now I'm putting the tech behind it with the systems, booking system and procedures and all that. Basically what I'm doing now is, since I learned what I learned stuff that does work, but I learned a lot that doesn't work. So now I'm taking that, molding it into a package, putting the tech behind it, which is, booking system, all that stuff. What's going to happen next is I'm going to end up with 3 of my own boats, or three company owned boats. And then what I'm going to start doing is bringing other boats into the fold from other companies and become the booking agency, where, I already have the marketing platform in place. I already have the booking system in place and all that. So it'd be kind of like a getmyboat.com, except I won't have the bureaucracy that those apps have.
Now, here's something that jumps out to me, an idea, because I love Florida too, and I'd love to be able to have a boat, right? That'd be cool to have a boat. I've always wanted to have a boat, and but most people here that have boats that take them to lakes and stuff, they just sit in their driveway all year. They might use them a couple times, right? But if I can let you, buy a boat over there where you're at and just give it to you, hey, make some money on this thing for me. And when I come to town, I could use it myself. I think that would be pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. That's basically what I was doing with the partners I had last year. The part that you've got to be careful of doing that is where advertising funds are coming from. And the mistake I had made is I was covering the advertising, and I had 8 boats to cover, and that eats a lot of revenue. So they do well in the end, but you don't, because your net gets cut way down because your advertising cost gets so high. So the way around that is there's a couple of options I'm working on. One is leasing. So basically, I buy a boat and I lease it out like a 12-month lease type of deal. So somebody does a down payment and then a monthly payment. They don't have to they don't have to keep the boat up. But what happens is they get the access to the boat, even though it's kind of expensive. It's just it's like having a jet charter or fractional ownership in a jet, right? They don't want to have to take care of the maintenance and all that other stuff. They just want the use. So the cost of the lease would then cover maintenance and things like that. So what I'm working on is the potential of, I have a boat, I lease it out, I make the profit off the lease, I keep it maintained. All they do is basically pay for the fuel. So that's an option that I'm looking at doing. And then the other option, again, is being the booking agency. So their boat gets listed on my website and on my platform, because basically I built a platform. It's not running on an app just yet, but it's a platform I built where the advertising is behind it, and it continues to expand. Partnerships, advertising platforms, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. So basically they'll pay a fee to do that. So let's say if I'm charging $500 or they charge $500 or something like that, $100 or $200 will go to me, is basically how that would work. And they take their net. So something simple, but very profitable if you can set that up right.
I love how you pivoted in business and you've seen that. That's awesome. So one question I have, so I have two friends in Florida. They're out in Florida, but they used to actually be a part of this catering, this charter thing with boats. They used to work on the boats, but they'd be like the, basically they provide for like the people that are renting the boats out. Yeah. So they used to tell me, and I just talked to them about this 2 weeks ago. They were like, yeah, they stopped being that person on the boat so they could hop into real estate, but they would get like $20,000 tips from these people, right? Is that the same target clientele? Like on your boats, they have a captain, and then do they have someone like catering to them? And is it that type of deal?
They can. Now, I operate under different set of regulations that those type of charters do. Those type of charters under what's called commercial law, and I'm operating under what's called recreational law.
Okay.
So when someone books a cruise with us, they're getting the boat, and then they have to go hire the captain and or crew. If they want food, they have to go do the hiring for that, because it's a different type of law. So basically, when they book a cruise with us, they are taking ownership of the boat for the term of their booking. So when they're on the water, that's their boat by law, and by contract, they own the boat. The crew or captain are their employees, and they're responsible for all their passengers and so on. And so it's a different type of law. Now, those charters down like in Miami and stuff like that, that's under commercial law. So what happens is the charter company is the one who employs the crew and the catering and all that stuff. So basically, I don't have employees because of the law I operate under. The person that books the cruise, they are the employer. So it's the difference between the laws. Recreational law, you relinquish control of the vessel and crew. Commercial law, you maintain control of them. So it's like an opposite way of doing it. But the goal is that in 3 years, I'm going to have 3 what's called Mangusta 104 revs. Those are 304-foot yachts. If you Google Mangusta, it's Mangusta, Mangusta 104 rev. It's the sexiest yacht you'll ever see. And they have a presence. Like when they come into a pass, and they come into the when they're coming into the marina or the harbor, if you will, they have a presence about them because of their design. But that's the goal, is have that and actually build a staff of crew and caterers and things of that sort. But I got to get there. The pontoons are a way for me to get there because they produce well. So really, by the end of this year, the goal is to step up to the next level of boats, which would be what I call a cabin class. Mm-hmm. So it's heat, air conditioning. The particular boat that I'm wanting to get, it has 2 bedrooms, 2 baths. It's 36 foot, 15 feet wide. It can go out in the ocean, stuff like that.
Okay, so you do plan on going to that commercial side soon? Then
yes.
Okay. Yeah, because because they taught me so much, because we're both in real estate, and they taught me so much, like how they stack their money. And he was like, "Oh, it's easy." He goes, "These people will tip you $10,000-$15,000, but it's like these are like 1%ers. So once you start catering to that crowd, it's just like in the short-term rental space in Airbnb. You cater to the right crowd, you're going to get the right income."
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's the same thing here. It's not quite the same crowd in Miami. However, it's a much more close-knit group of people here. Mm-hmm. And the particular market I'm marketing to it's the 30A market. 30A is about a 35-mile radius area where it's very affluent. It's like if you were going to move, high-end Miami, take all of that, or Jupiter Island or something like that, stuff that into a 35-mile radius. That's what you got.
Wow.
Multi-million dollar homes. Like one of the there's a house that sold there, I think it was a year or two, for 35 million.
Oh my God.
Right on the Gulf of Mexico. So you've got, and these aren't main homes. These are second, third, fourth, fifth homes. They're huge. They all fly in their private jets. Like if you go to what's called the Destin Airport or Panama City Beach the private FBO, you'll just see lines of like G5s, G650s, Citation 10s, like just rows of jets, and they're all going to this 30A area. They invest heavily into the area. They're rentals. They own a lot of real estate here. In fact, have you guys heard the name Adrian Morrison?
Adrian Morrison.
He does. He's known for e-commerce. He has Shopify stores and all that stuff. He was actually endorsed by Shopify to train people to use Shopify. He's a Facebook ads expert and all that. But the dude's worth like 9 figures, and he owns a bunch of real estate in this area. Like penthouses and big homes and commercial real estate and all that. The dude's like 34 in that area, and so he comes in here. He charters jets all the time and comes over here. And but speaking of which, if you guys want to learn Facebook ads, check him out. That dude is, he's like, I would consider him top as far as doing Facebook ads and building a business off of that. I would consider him probably one of the best out there. Besides these large, agencies that run that ran ads for Trump when he had like a $2 billion budget. The guy that ran the political ads, but that's all that agency does, is just political stuff, and that's what they're known for. Adrian Morrison is specific to e-commerce, drop shipping. He knows like the cycles that Facebook ads go through, exactly how the algorithm works, all that stuff. He has a course too, and I'm not paid by him. I sound like I'm promoting his stuff. It's just I've learned a lot just from watching his his webinars and stuff like that.
Yeah,
I've learned so much stuff just from watching his webinars, like even his free stuff, that just blows my mind, the kind of stuff he puts out there. But if anybody wants to learn Facebook ads, go check out Adrian Morrison. Highly recommend. Very cool guy too.
So like on this type of stuff, because you're renting out boats and stuff, what kind of insurance do you guys have? Like, I know you said you hit some tough times with weather. Do you guys have any type of like loss of income insurance, anything like that?
I don't have loss of income insurance, but what I've done is I've gone to a deposit system. So I have basically take a percentage. I do it as a flat rate, but it's a percentage of the cruise, like what they pay for a cruise. Part of that is a non-refundable deposit. That under no circumstances is it refundable. Even if there's bad weather day of, they can get a full refund minus their non-refundable deposit. And people, most of them, they understand it because they're like, well, if it's bad weather, they still got to put food on the table. We can't just take a complete loss. I mean, that's what I wasn't doing that last year. And that's why I took a complete loss, because there was no revenue. In fact, it all kind of went out the window because I had to refund so much. Had I thought about doing a deposit last year, that probably would have saved things from taking such a big hit. But you got to learn somehow. So I did. And, but anyway, as far as insurance goes, there's a specific type of insurance that you use for recreational charters. Here's the thing that a lot of people run into. If any of you listening to this decide you want to, start a boat charter or want to learn more about it or anything like that, I have a very, very, very small Facebook group that I created for it. It's called How to Start and Scale a Boat Charter Business. Very simple. There's like maybe several people in it, like very, very small.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason it's so small is not a lot of people realize that there's a method, there's a technique, there's an understanding that goes into it. And I always tell people because I've helped, I don't know, seven different charters start up and get going. You have to decide if you're going to go commercial and you're going to pay a captain yourself to run your boat, or if you're going to go recreational where the customer pays the captain. And the reason you have to make this decision is because if you don't and you cross borders, you cross that line, you can get in big trouble with Coast Guard. You can actually get fined because they board boats here. Like they'll board the boat, do an inspection. If they find that you've kind of crossed laws, then the big no-no is really trying to do recreational, but just one little area you didn't cross your T's on and you're commercial on this side. Or if you do this and you fall over on this side because of, give you an example. If you're running recreational, you've got more people on the boat than deemed commercial, but you paid the captain or the charter company paid the captain, you're in commercial law. And now you've got violations because you've got more people than what's allowed for that law. So it's called I'll give you a quick example just so the audience can wrap their head around it a little bit in a simplistic way. There's a captain license called a 6-pack. And what 6-pack means is you're basically rated to be able to take up to 6 people on a boat. Mm-hmm. It's kind of the entry level license that you get. From there, it goes to a 25-ton, a 50-ton, 100-ton, 200-ton, et cetera, until you go to unlimited. That just means that the higher the tonnage, the bigger the boat. And you can go up to that maximum. With a 6-pack, it's just very limited. It's you can basically drive a under 25-ton boat, and you can take up to 6 people. Technically, it's 7, but I'll spare all those details. It's a lot of details. So if you're running what's called a 6-pack operation, this would be commercial law, right? You're running what's called a 6-pack operation. You can take up to 6 people, and the charter company is not relinquishing control of the vessel, of the boat, to the customer. They maintain control, and they're paying the captain. Okay, that's commercial law. If they take 8 people on a boat, they're going to get a violation, and they're going to get cited for it. And if they find more violations, they can ground the boat and basically stop the operation, and then you have a $5,000 fine. And which is really bad for an operation that's just getting started. So let me jump over to the other side of things. Let's say you're under recreational law, you've got 8 people on the boat, but you're paying the captain. They're going to deem that a commercial operation and fine you for it because the customer didn't hire the captain. The customer, the person who's the renter, they have to be able to show proof that they paid the captain, and the captain should have proof. I do this, imagining it's my phone, because that's how everybody pays it. So they have to be able to show proof that the customer is their client and they were paid by the customer, not by the charter company. So there's this line, and not a lot of people say this. It took me 2 years to understand how this law works. I studied the definitions of it. I studied the statutes. I studied what this means, what that means. I know that law really, really, really well. And you have to, because if you don't, that's where these fines can come in. That's where you can get in trouble with Coast Guard, all that other stuff. But as far as commercial law goes, yeah, that's where the money is, because you can get into these larger boats. Like when I'm talking those 104 Mangustas, 104-foot Mangusta yachts, these are like 4-bedroom, 4-bath. You can sleep 8 people in them, right?
Wow.
That's a commercial operation, full out commercial. You're going to be paying the captain. You're going to be paying, you're going to have a stewardess. You're going to have a caterer. You're going to have, a chef. You're going to have all that stuff. And these are the type of things where it's what's called a term charter. So they're going to charter the boat for a week or 2 weeks or something like that. And that particular boat will do about 120,000 a week.
Damn.
If you have 3 of those, do the numbers. And your overhead is about 30%. So you got a 70% profit margin.
Holy smokes.
Yeah.
We're in the wrong business.
Yeah.
So that's that. Well, now you understand why I'm trying to get up there. So, but see, here's part of my my plan though, is build the charter business up, build it into a sellable business after, I haven't decided if I want to do 5 or 10 years. We'll get to 5 and see how it goes. But the goal is to get to 100 million. All the while setting aside funds and dumping it into real estate. So that's the whole plan. Real estate and buying businesses. The goal is to have a portfolio of businesses. I would love to see myself with a portfolio of 50 businesses across multiple sectors, multiple verticals, and I don't run a single one. I just own them and take my percentage. And then there's a few different things I want to do. Lending. I want to be a private lender, which is something super simple. I mean, everything in doing is really arbitrage is what it comes back to.
Exactly.
It's like, give you another example. If somebody doesn't know how to get a boat charter started up, if they, let's say you have an audience member or a section of audience that they're like, well, I don't have the money to do that. My credit's bad. How do I go get a boat with that? Well, here's a couple options. One is you can go find someone that has a boat or someone that'd be willing to get a boat. Go into my Facebook group and I'll show you how to do all that stuff. But basically you find someone, tell them, hey, you keep the boat, I'll run the whole thing. I'll charter it out. Let's just, come up with a percentage split. I'll do all the marketing, but you got to pay for that because, obviously I can't pay for marketing out of my pocket right now, but I'll run the whole thing. I'll get it filled with customers and we just do a profit split. That's one way. Another way is find stuff you can flip. Like one of the other things I do is I arbitrage golf carts. So, Micah's reaction. So I arbitrage golf carts. Okay. So I go on Facebook Marketplace, for example, find a golf cart that's for sale. I go, I talk to the seller. I go see the golf cart. Then what I do is I work out a deal with them where I say, hey, I'm interested in buying this, but here's what I do. I don't have a place, because literally this is what I've got going on right now. I don't have a place to put golf carts, nor do I really want to, which gives me the leverage. So what I do is I say, all right, here's my process. Here's how I buy and sell. I negotiate my purchase price with you. I am then going to take my pictures and my video, which I have a certain way of doing that. I'm going to create my own listing. I'm going to use my audience, which through Facebook groups is about an audience of about 2 million right now. I'm going to market the golf cart. I will bring the buyer. I'll show the buyer. The buyer will pay me. I will then pay you, and I'll do a bill of sale on each side, and then I make the difference. So I create a spread in the price, which is my profit. And I just bought and sold a golf cart on in one spot within a few minutes of making a deal, bill of sale on each side. I basically flipped it without taking possession.
It's beautiful.
So, you do a few of those. If it's titled, I broker it, which is a side subject, but that's a way to create some revenue or some funds to get into a boat business. And, you can make this, the smallest profit I've made doing a golf cart was $400. Most I've made was $1,800.
Nice.
And then I have a couple in the process right now where they'll be around $2,000, $2,500. And all it takes is just some texting, a couple of phone calls, and knowing how to do the deal is really what it comes down to.
Kind of like a golf cart wholesaler.
Kind of, except I'm taking it, I'm getting a wholesale deal and then selling it to a retail buyer.
Mm,
Of
And it's
course,
all on Facebook.
nice.
this is one question I have about it, because you said you can end up making like 120 a week. And by the way, I'm looking at these Mangustas, and damn, those are some nice ass boats, man. It's like you're
Those gorgeous or what?
out of a house, man. It's like these nice showers, all that stuff in there. But
I know.
what I was gonna ask you was how, like, okay, how often are you renting these things? And is it by the hour? Is it by the day? And then like, what's the turnover to get it back out there?
These boats, these yachts,
Mhm.
the money is made on what's called a term charter. So you rent it out you have a weekly rate. So they're going to rent it for a week, 2 weeks, maybe a month. On average is 2 weeks. So if you're doing 120,000 a week, let's just say 100 grand a week, just for numbers' sake. 100 grand a week, that's 200,000 in a month. So you could have 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off if you wanted. But if it's going out for 2 weeks and then going back out for another 2 weeks with one customer, you're doing 400 grand a month on one boat, and 70% of that's profit.
Damn.
Yeah.
It's insane. It's crazy. I mean, think about doing that for 12 months.
That's crazy. The price of the boat's $800K. You're making.
Oh no, it's a lot. It's more than 800K. Mangusta 104 Rev, because the 104 Rev REV is their newest, one of their newest ones, and I think they're around 8 to 10 million, I want to say.
Oh,
But
10 million, but
you're
making
not
a month?
the thing that you know that the audience has to understand here is no one goes and pays $8 million in cash for a boat. It's going to be financed, and there's specialty finance companies out there that only do yachts. So what you're doing is you're getting you're getting like a mortgage on a piece of real estate. It's a 20 to 30 year term, and you're going to put 3% down, 5% down, maybe 20% down at most, and then it's going to be financed. So you're going to have a monthly payment. So it's very doable.
You can put 3% down on a yacht?
Yeah. So there's some companies that do that. Most of them on average will do 10%, but if you're, like in good standing and all that, you can get. The other thing you can do is equipment finance. Because if you have a company set up, you can actually go get equipment financing, which you can get on a, 20, 25, 30 year term. It actually pretty good interest rates. We're looking 5 to 8%, somewhere in that area. And some of them do 0 down. It's nuts. So you get that. And sometimes with the equipment financing, they also do a lease option. So they'll lease it to you with the option to buy it out at the end of the lease. So there's different options with this stuff. I mean, what you got to look at is it's just like doing real estate, or if you have a construction company and you're buying equipment, it's the same thing. It's just a boat. But it's equipment. It's cost of goods. So it's also a tax write-off. I write my boats off. I write all my equipment off. And the other thing too. Go ahead.
Oh, the only big difference is I would imagine a boat's going to depreciate where a $8 million property is going to appreciate, right?
Except that right now the boat market has actually done pretty good since COVID. Values are actually way up because the cost to manufacture a new boat is so high now. It's driving prices up.
But in 20 years, that boat's not going to be worth near as much.
In 20 years, no, but nobody's keeping it for 20 years. If you're a charter company, you're keeping the boat for maybe 2 years, maybe 3 at most. And then you turn around and sell it. That's why I would never pay cash for one. Unless I was buying one that was, 5 years old, 10 years old. But most people don't want to go in a 5 or 10-year-old boat unless the price reflects that. Most people want a new boat. That's the audience I'm talking to. What I call the 30A market, the 30A audience, they want primo, they want ultimate luxury, and they're willing to pay that for it. So what I do is I just get more of a top end boat, finance it. And then I'll put it this way in simple terms, one booking covers my cost of the boat. So with a yacht charter, it's the same thing. One charter is like double your expense. I mean, think about it. If somebody charters the boat, let's say they charter it for 2 weeks, and you're at, because my number is 120,000 a week on that boat. That's $240,000 in 2 weeks. And your payment is, I'm using my phone for the camera right now, but your payment's going to be, the payment's usually around 1%, maybe 2% of the value of the vessel, the cost of the vessel, the boat. So if it's a $5 million boat, let's say, 10% be 500K. So you're looking at 50K. 50,000 is your boat mortgage. Your insurance is about 1% a year of the value of the boat. So on 5 million, go back to that 1% number, you're looking at, again, what's that? 50,000 for the year. So 50,000 divided by 12, you're looking at about 5,500. See, 55 to 5,800 a month. Your cost of fuel, because the fuel turns into a profit also. The customer pays for the fuel. That's one of the requirements under recreational law. Now, not in commercial, because commercial is different. So your cost of fuel, you're probably looking at 10 to 20 grand a month. Well, it depends. If it's a term charter, it's going to be more than that. So basically, you get one charter and you're break even at worst.
Nice.
But now, at worst.
Now, what's cool is like one of those Mangustas that you're talking about.
Yep.
Let's say you buy a $10 million Mangusta and one quick trip to Colombia and you 100x your money, right?
Oh, yeah.
Bring back some yayo.
I mean seriously.
I can miss that one.
That's more like 200x.
Micah, quick trip to Colombia and you can 200x your money with one of those Mangustas.
Yeah,
but
you're putting on it. Yeah.
Well, think about. No, I wouldn't say go to Cuba. That's probably not the best idea. Colombia would work. Jamaica, that's another option. Mexico, there you go.
No,
no, I'm kidding.
Load it up. I don't see nothing.
Right. But
one question I do have, since we're talking, what kind of laws? I know you guys have laws because you have Coast Guards and whatnot. So to charter over to Mexico, is there certain laws and precautions you have to follow to do that?
Honestly, I'm not sure what laws you have with Mexico, because most of the trips that I would be doing would be in the Caribbean.
Okay.
Caribbean, Bahamas, Cayman Islands, Virgin Islands, places like that, even down to the Keys. So I wouldn't be going west that often. I'd be going east.
Okay.
Stay east, stay safe. That's what I say. So, but I mean, look, easy numbers. Like I said, 400 grand a month, 70% of that's profit. I mean, it's ridiculous almost. It's like you're about basically 300 grand. I mean, just easy numbers, 300 grand a month profit. 12 months out of the year, you're looking at, $3.6 million profit per boat.
Okay. That's, man.
So ish, if you have 3 boats, you're basically almost a $10 million business on 3 boats. It's insane.
Yeah, it is, man. And I knew it was after I talked to my friends, and when they said they used to work the business, be inside of it. I was like, that's
yeah.
People pay you that much in test, but it's the target clientele for it. Once you you hit that yacht level, yeah, it's sky's the limit from there.
Well, I mean, think about it. A $15,000 to $20,000 tip. That's 10, 15%.
True.
Damn.
I mean, think about it. If they charter it for a month, just again for numbers' sake, keeping it easy, $400,000 a month on one boat. 10% of that, 10% is $40,000.
Wow.
So, I mean, yeah, that's very easy. I mean, I've seen captains that were running our boats do, this is a pontoon boat. I had a captain get, or I should say it this way, a captain I knew got $1,000 tip one night.
Damn.
On top of his fee. So he basically made like $1,500 on one trip. That was an 8-hour day. And they bought him lunch too. So I'm like, and that's a pontoon boat. We're not even talking higher level stuff. So like the goal end of this year. In fact, I can show the audience a little something just for if they're curious. I don't know if these numbers come out backwards.
Oh, they look good.
Look good.
So right here, you're looking at 3 pontoon boats because that's the operation this year. It's 3 pontoon boats. So looking at about $1,200 per boat per day on average. That's $48,000 on 20 days out of the month. This is the partner boat I have right here. So basically it's a 50-50 split with him. So $60,000 a month. That's on 20 days out of the month. Now, if I can get a full 30 days a month, that number jumps to 108,000. 360,000 6 months out of the year, 480,000 8 months out of the year. If I can squeeze 10 months, we're pushing $1 million business right there.
Nice.
And then here's the operating expenses. So basically your boat operation, your slip, so wet slip, $1,000. That's overestimating just a little bit. A pickup location, if you have to pay for a pickup location, they typically charge $500 a month. Insurance, $400, which I just found out that's going to be lower this year, which I'm very excited about. And there's only 3 insurance companies on the planet that do recreational coverage for charters. Here's your loan, $500 to $600 a month. Fuel, you're looking around $2,000 a month. Maintenance about $300 a month, which is oil change and some different things. I'll spare the details of that. So then I gave myself a $5,000 a month ad budget, which is conceivable. Here's my phone system. Here's my CRM. Here's my you guys know what Zapier is. I use Zapier to connect all this stuff. Here's Klaviyo, that's email and text marketing, and then my web host. So we're looking at just under $9,900 a month in expenses. So we're looking at $50,000 a month net with 3 boats.
I love that.
400,000 in 8 months.
Now, have you because I'm happy you're showing marketing, because that's something the short-term rental space that they just don't do, right? Have you honed in on who your target clientele is, and then
oh yes,
and can you get to the point of where you could even push those numbers higher by going to even a little bit different higher tier clientele?
So here's what I do, just to give everybody an idea of a proper way to market for tourism. For example, if you have a boat charter and you're running Facebook ads, Google ads, don't ever target the boat audience, because you're talking to other charter companies.
Okay.
You're talking to other charter companies and other people that own boats. You're not talking to people who want to rent them. the way to target people that want to rent them is target those who have visited your city.
Mhm.
So you target frequent travelers, target people who are interested in the beach, people who are interested in your area. So for me, you target people that have visited Santa Rosa Beach.
Mhm.
So target the whole US, and then the people who have visited your city.
Yep.
And then target mostly women, because women are usually the ones that book.
Really?
That's a
They're
fact.
the ones with the credit cards.
Well, that doesn't I thought dudes wanted to be on these boats. I don't understand.
They're not usually the ones that book the boats. 90% of the time it's women,
Why?
because they're the ones that are shopping for the activities. The guys don't care what they do. The women do care.
My wife's
Oh.
friends, they all want to rent a yacht for her birthday.
Yep.
Yep.
So it's the same thing. So like my wife, she's the one who's scheduling all the activities. I could care less what we do. Just tell me what we're doing and I'll go. That's what all the guys do. So why would you target men when men aren't the ones who are going to book it?
Yeah.
Even if there's 5% of them, target the women. I'll sacrifice the 5% for the 95% every day.
Jeez, I guess that
Like
makes sense.
if I look at my CRM, there's that I can think of maybe 5 or 10 guys out of 360 customers in that CRM. There's like 5 or 10 guys' names in there.
Now, okay. Now, if you're not a fishing charter, so
No,
you're the
purely
fishing charters would target men.
That's men.
Okay, cool. Okay, that makes sense.
Even in the short-term
But
rental,
it's a different audience. Sorry, go ahead.
even in the short-term rental space, you would target women. I mean, even if you look at even if it's a dude who's booking, like let's say you're booking a family, what's the first thing he's gonna say after he asks every single question? Well, let me go check with my wife. I'll make a decision. I'm dead serious every time. So
we're not staying there.
Yeah,
Exactly.
That's what it comes down to. So let her do it, and then we just go, just like he said. He's absolutely
Exactly. Right. Well, here's the other thing too. Another thing the audience needs to think of, and this works for anything that rents. Target mobile users. Because even if they're going to go on their computer, all they'll do is just send the link to their email or messenger, and they'll go to their desktop or their laptop. Who uses a desktop anymore? For the most part. So target mobile users. Make your website mobile user friendly. Something I've learned from Grant, which it really is a mind bender, and it's very difficult to stop doing, is offering discounts. Offer something of value, not a discount.
What do you mean by that?
In other words, instead of offering them $200 off, give them something of value for free. Give them an extra night's stay. Give them an extra hour on the boat. Give them extra toys for the boat. If they get a discount, that only goes so far. But if you actually give them something they will use, if you give them something they'll actually use while they're on the boat, that means something more to them. Like, oh, I'm getting this for this. I'm paying $1,000, but I'm getting the toys. I've got a cooler with ice. I've got an extra hour. I've got this or that. So you give them something you're giving them something of value at no cost, but they are paying for it.
Yep. I have learned that through email marketing. Just giving somebody a percentage off is nothing. If you tell them, I'll give you a free night, immediately somebody's going to book. Like, hey, if you stay 4 nights, I'll give you the 5th free. They'll immediately book. It's because tangibility always sells. If you give them something tangible, it sells immediately.
Not only that, but there's also price anchoring that you can complement your value with. So with price anchoring, I get this. I learned this from Alex Ramosi. If you ever listen to Alex Ramosi, this dude is just genius. Again, I think he's 32 or 33 years old. And he's built his company from $1,000 to over 100 million in 4 years. And now all he does is he goes and invests in companies and buys companies and helps grow them. Ironically, he hired Grant to be his mentor. He's paying like $120,000 a year for the guy. They do a call a month, basically, talk on the phone for an hour, right? Anyway, that's beside the point. I learned price anchoring from Alex. So let's say you go to the movie theater and you've got 3 sized drinks. You know, somebody wants to, I hate soda, so I'm not going to use soda as my example. Let's use popcorn. There we go. All right. So small popcorn, $5. Large popcorn, $9. So what you're going to do is you're going to tell your customer which one they're going to buy by where you place your medium size price point. If you want people to buy more of the medium size, you price it at $5.99 or $6.50 or something to that effect, $6.99. If you want them to buy more of the large, you price it at $8 or let's say $7.99. Let's just call it $8 for the ease of numbers. So you got a $5 small, you've got a $8 medium and a $9 large. It's like, I'm getting a large for just $1 more. I'll take the large. They'll do it every day, all day long.
Well, yeah, when I discovered that, you know, I heard the same thing you did, price anchoring. I was like, man, they've been doing this to me all my freaking life, everywhere, man. And they even said, like, at restaurants, menus, nobody orders the most expensive thing on the, I mean, maybe if you go to a hoity-toity place, but you go to Chili's or Bennigan's or whatever. I'm dating myself with those restaurants. But anyways, something like that. If you go to like a restaurant like that, TGI Fridays, that still exists. If you go to one of those spots, they're telling you what to order. You don't even know it. You know, I'm like, they're gonna guide you to this most, you know, profitable item on their menu. And I'm like, what the, you know, I was just perplexed.
Here's the other one. I'll use the movie theater again as an example. You get the endless refill popcorn or whatever, right? So they say that the extra large, but if you buy the bucket for $15, instead of just getting the large for $9, you buy the bucket for $15, but you can get as many refills as you want and take the bucket home. Mm-hmm. That's usually what they do, except it's not like $15 is a bad example. They'll usually do that for like $19 or $24. Mm-hmm. So you're like, $24 and I get the bucket and I can get as many refills as I want for just $3 each time.
Because when you get home, you're gonna throw the bucket away, and 2, you ain't gonna eat that whole bucket of popcorn, so you're gonna be another one.
Exactly. So their whole thing is they're making, instead of making $9, now they're making 24, and then every time they come back, they're making another 3 if they keep the bucket. If they don't, they're paying another $24 and another $9. It's like, it's all psychological. No. So you do the same thing with, you find out how you can do it with your short-term rental, with your boat charter, with your car rental, golf cart rentals. That's another big one around here.
You know, it's funny. I'm sorry. One more on that topic. We go back to golf cart rentals. This show is going long, but anyway, this is exciting stuff. So even in grocery stores here, it's illegal to do that crap where you say, you know, you buy 2 and they're only $1.50 each, right? And you buy 2 and they're $3, right? And people always buy 2. They don't need 2, but they buy 2. Right. But if you buy 1, it's $1.50, because you can't do that at grocery stores. But people still they still advertise it, and people still fall for it. But you just buy one of those 2 that are on promotion, and it's $1.50. I don't know. It's hilarious. So funny. They still do it anyways, but yeah, it's like buy one get one free. That's probably the best promotion you can do, is buy one get one free. And then I went to BOGO. Then I went to BOGO. Buy one get one half price. That
right. Or 2 for $5. If it's normally, let's say it's normally $3 each, and they do 2 for $5. Mm-hmm. You're like, okay, I'm saving $1. So what I usually do is I'll just get one.
Yeah, and that's the thing. In grocery stores, it would be half that price. There's no, you can't do that at grocery stores. You can do it anywhere else, but not grocery stores.
Right.
It's so
it's
funny.
hilarious. But like today, I was buying avocados. It was $4 for $5. I'm like, okay, so it's the same price it usually is. It's just marketed different.
It's so funny, but people
It
don't
makes
do
you
math.
think about it. I know they don't do the math in their head. They just see the promotion. It's only how they word it. It's word it and put it on a sign that has red on it,
They
right?
manipulate the fuck out of us. Anyways, before we hop off this, it's gone long, but it's been great.
Yeah.
So you did watches for a while, right? High-end watches. Why did
I
you
did.
get out of that market? And I think you got out the right time because it kind of got saturated, right?
It did. Well, the reason I got out of it is, a lot of dealers don't make more than, on a good day, they might make a couple thousand a watch. I was making maybe $500 a watch, maybe $1,000 on a good day. I think I made 2,000 once or twice. The problem for me is it's the time to money ratio, because it takes so much time and effort and manual marketing. It just takes a long time. It takes a long time to build a reputation. It came to the point where it just wasn't worth it to me. Whereas like with a golf cart, for example, that's what, held me over winter. It's a bigger profit margin and less time. And I kind of had fun with it, drive golf carts around and, take a few pictures of it, market it. And usually that would move very quickly because of the area we're in. Everybody's buying a golf cart for their rental property. So, as people, even though they came with a budget, it's like pretty easy to negotiate with. And you're going to make, at least $500 on a golf cart, and you can do it pretty quickly. Plus I didn't have to take possession of it the way I was doing it. So there was that. So yes, I did the watches, but ultimately boating is really my passion, and I love sharing that passion. But knowing that I could build a sellable business, with, very little costs. It doesn't have the same kind of costs or overhead that a lot of businesses do, in any other industry. And the profit margin is, again, I'm probably about a 20% profit margin if I have a big marketing budget. I mean, I showed you guys the board. Make 60,000 a month, and 10,000 of that is overhead.
Nice.
So it's like it's 15%. It's crazy.
It's nuts, bro.
And I love it.
It's awesome, man. Well, dude, I'm glad you're doing awesome. That's something that you're passionate about. It's great to have you on again. I know you want to have 50 businesses where you don't got to do nothing at them. That's pretty sweet. And putting it all into real estate, like Grant Cardone, pour it all into real estate.
That's right.
That's sweet, man. Where can people find you, brother?
Yeah.
They can find me, I would say mostly in social, at Eric J. Pearce, is my personal brand profile. Pearce is Pearce. And then 30A Boat Valet, at 30A Boat Valet. And then my golf cart business is at Golf Cart Flipper. So those three areas. The main one I'm doing the most on is at 30A Boat Valet. My personal is obviously just I share everything going on in my life pretty much, and then the boat charter is just all boat content. So
one thing I gotta say before you leave is, can I say it? I've been wanting to say it the whole show.
What's that?
Boats and hoes. I bet you never hear that being in the boat industry, right?
Never.
Thanks for hopping on, man. It's been a great show. Glad to catch up with you again. And when I'm in Florida, I'm gonna hit you up. Go
for sure.
Hey, and if your wife wants to come over here and girls take her on a yacht, I do have a buddy that's got a 75-foot yacht. And I can get her hooked up.
Okay, definitely will. Thank you for that. We'll be hitting you up if we do make it out to Florida for sure.
For sure. Looking forward to it. Appreciate it being on, guys. I appreciate it a lot. Been fun.
Yeah.
And thank you for coming back on, man. Thank you.
For sure.
See
For
ya.
sure.
Peace.
Have a good one, guys. Peace.
All right.
All right, man. That was another great episode. Second time guest EJP or Eric J. Pearce. Man, that was a good one. I've been looking up boats, and the reason why I just knew it was like a high-end business because I have two friends who they do real estate out in Florida, and man, they are killing it. They were killing it doing that boat stuff, man. So yeah, man.
It's cool to have a different a different topic, because we always say, we're the share economy podcast and it's very short-term rental heavy, but it's cool to get it's like he said on the show, it's all arbitrage. No matter what business you're doing, it's all arbitrage, man. And so find what something you like to do, see how you can arbitrage that shit to make some money. There's money everywhere, baby. If you ain't making it, you ain't looking hard enough.
Facts, man. This is awesome. This is a good cast, man. But yeah,
cool, man. Where can they find us?
Find us at you can find us at Live Let Thrive on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. Make sure to join the Facebook group. Lots of good stuff going on in there. We have a meetup coming up next Thursday, March 2nd? Yeah, next Thursday, March 2nd in Dallas. So definitely come check that out. We're going to be talking about what's going on with the short-term rental ban, how to survive if it is banned. It ain't, I don't know. I'm not going to say it's not looking pretty, but they are
how to thrive when it does get banned, if it does get banned.
How to thrive and survive, So that happens March 2nd. Join the Facebook group. Follow us on Instagram. Instagram's where we're going to be posting most of the updates as well. And make sure to subscribe, leave us a review, and all that good stuff. And yeah, thank y'all for continuing to listen. And we're going to keep pumping out this content.
Peace.
Later.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of Live, Let, Thrive. Be sure to tune in next week for all the latest in the world of Airbnb and all that entails. Bye-bye.